GildaGram Podcast with my host, Dr. Gilda Carle. Dr. Gilda, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
I certainly am. We talk about dating, we talk about money, and we talk about how money is very difficult to get through when you are dating, right, Jason? This is Jason Tartick, and he knows everything about money. He is here to talk about his partnership with America's #1 most loved banking app, Chime. And he's also going to tell us, because he was a former Bachelorette star and Trading Secrets host, and he's also a financial expert. And he's going to tell us everything about how to get through these problems with money. There was a survey, Banking on Love. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so you said it in your intro, which is beautiful, talking about the issues in talking money. And my thesis on that is that we just weren't taught money in the school system. So then we have to talk about it. We weren't taught how to do that. And then when you intersect love and money and talking about something we were never taught about, but it's one of the most important assets in the world, we have seen with married and cohabitating relationships, it's creating a lot of stress. It's also a leading indicator for divorce. So what's really cool though is Chime just did a survey on singles and dating and what generational shifts we're seeing with money. And we're seeing a lot of these really taboo topics that we would avoid in the past, especially on date. Based on this survey, we're seeing a huge change of pace. For example, 50% of Gen Z and Millennials are actually saying they are attracted to someone that is open up, talking about their income. And by contrast, only 23% of boomers said that they agree to that. So now we're not even talking about, are we comfortable talking about it? We're comfortable not only talking about it, but we're attracted to it. And those are some of the pieces of information we're seeing in this wild world of dating and love.
But this was a taboo topic. Nobody wanted to bring this up. And you mentioned to bring it up early. So what do? Say, hi, my name is Dr. Gilda, and I want to talk about money. How do you think about money? How do you feel about money? What is your feelings about money? You can't do that because the guy will run away.
You're right. I think most of us, when we hear about these conversations, it's against societal norms, which I'm a huge proponent of bringing down, and it also is a little bit frowned upon, which I think we should smile on. But how do we do it is the question of the day. And I think what you have to do is you have to bridge this gap. You have to disarm. You can't start the conversation with what's your income, what's your credit score, how much debt do you have?
Oh, but women want to know this. According to the Senate I'm talking to, they say all these women are after only my money. How do you put a stop to that?
That I can't speak to, but I can speak to how to have these conversations in a healthy way. And I think where you start with it is on date one, you make these money conversations playful. Like, I think you want to be curious in understanding how people connect to money, what their relationship is with money, what the psychology is, and then how do you do that? If you're going on a first date, I think a really good question to ask, which is fun, is like, hey, right now, you're given $1 million. You have 24 hours to spend it. Where exactly are you going to spend it and why? And then you get to learn about their spending patterns, how they prioritize spending, plus it's fun. Another good one would be like, hey, what's one thing that you overspend on today? You overspend on it, but unless you're completely broke, you're going to keep spending on it. That also provides more information through curiosity as opposed to judgment in these money discussions. And it also starts with a playful approach, a nice segue to what inevitably before getting married or cohabitating will be some of the tougher conversations.
And I think we don't have enough play in anything we do anymore. Everything's so serious. Everybody's trying to push you into a corner to discuss serious things. And we already know from our history of men and women that women want money, men want honey. So how do we...
And so if we're saying that, Dr. Gilda, how can we do that? It's not going to offend men. Don't they understand that's their responsibility in certain ways? And yet certain people would see that as something that's disrespectful. And by saying that, what your comment is, Dr. Gilda, and you agree, Jason, right? You hear this, right?
Yeah. I would say that I think that is one opinion. That's certainly not all opinions. And I think what I would say in this Chime study actually is what we're seeing in generational shifts is if you look at historically amongst generation and you just look at expectation, for example, who should pay, the men are expected to pay when you look at baby boomers and millennials. What's interesting though with this data shift is Gen Z is starting to have back and forth opinion on it, a coin toss opinion on it. And I think one of the things is they're less focused based on the information we're receiving with dating on who's paying. And they're more interested, why are we sitting in a gray area with assumptions or wondering, let's talk about it, which I think in general is healthy, right? Like, for example, there's another statistic that came from this survey. It said 33% of daters are saying that living beyond your means is a turn. Now, typically, we used to praise people that are buying things and living above their means. They're saying 33% of them, when they see it, it's a turnoff. But they're also saying 26% find that it's an ick if someone's stingy or cheap. So I think what we're seeing is Gen Z is saying, we don't care if you're over, we do care if you're overspending. We do care if you're underspending. What we're trying to say is perfectionism shouldn't exist in love and money, and we should just talk about this gray area as opposed to make assumptions.
Talk, that is the thing. And when you're feeling uncomfortable about talking about this, of course, you're not going to go there. But the more you withhold that information, the more you're in for a surprise if you actually do get married and they are talking, all the statistics are telling us that money is a major factor during splits. So
Yes.
when relationships don't work. So what do we do? What is your relationship with Chime that has started to tell the public this is what you can do?
So I think for the last 10 years now or so, between my podcast and published books, my thesis has been we need to start being financially transparent. And when we do so, what we're doing is we are giving each other information so that we can spend in a smarter way, we can save more intelligently, and we can also earn more. But for some reason, we're so afraid to talk about this. But when we give each other the information, it gives us more information to then put ourselves in a better position. And so Chime also believes in the same core values that I do when it comes to financial transparency. And they are really making progress in the finance space, not only with their banking products, but doing surveys like this to provide us information to put us in a better position. Because like you said, married couples and cohabitating couples are struggling with this. And in fact, 43% of all married and cohabitating couples, at least one person, is stealing or cheating through their finances in a material way. So we know that if we're not talking about, people are manipulating it, they're lying about it, they're stealing.
Transparency with every part of relationships is absolutely mandatory.
Yeah.
All right, best place we can find information on Chime and you, Jason. Where can we go?
Yeah, so you go to chime.com or you can go to my website, jasontartick.com. But for all the survey results and statistics, you can find those over on Chime's website, chime.com.
Thank you so much.
All right. That was a special podcast of the Neil Haley Show and GildaGram Podcast.